Hey guys, just wanted to show you this machine I'm working on today. It's a Toro 4200 Workman all-wheel drive. So this one's got a little transfer case and a drive shaft running up to the front end to give it four-wheel drive. What I'm doing is changing some worn out hardware. So underneath this guy, you've got two control arms. There's your lower control arm and your upper, and then where it's attached through these bushings, these bolts wear in the bushing. The bushing seems to be made of a hardened steel, so it doesn't have a problem, but the bolt itself wears, and these control arms, they move back and forth. Not good. So these bolts need to be changed. And while I'm under here, I'm also going to change these CV shaft axle boots. You can see this one isn't far from cracking. So since I'm taking this apart, I'm going to change both boots. I've already done the boots on the other side. I don't know if you can see that. Boots and bolts. There's the new bolt. I also changed the ball joints. So sorry, the lower and the lower and upper ball joints. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to change those four bolts, the two lowers, the two uppers, the boots on the constant velocity shaft, and I'm going to change the top and bottom ball joints, which should make this thing go another 10 years. So I'm going to do a little disassembly and start the video back up. So these here are the bolts, those four bolts that I was saying hold the control arms in. These four are from the other side of the truck. And these four are new ones. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look, you can see where the bushing has worn away at the threads. And what that does is it causes this bolt to move. Actually, sorry, it causes the control arm bushing to move back and forth. And it feels like the front end's going to fall out of the machine. As you can see, same thing. It's worn right out. It's supposed to look like that, obviously. So I'm going to take this apart and show you the bolt locations where everything has to come apart and make a couple more videos. Hey, so back under here, I got the wheel off, and you can see the control arm bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's your upper ball joint. Down here's your lower ball joint right there. And I'll also show you the steering ball joint down there, and then there's a couple more steering ball joints up there are all worn out as well. So I'm going to change all those next time I work on this machine. But you can see the slop, and that's coming from up inside there. You add together the slop from all the balls, and that's how you end up with that. So that needs to be done. I'll make the next series of videos, but I just wanted to show you to take this apart. What you got to do is remove this pinch bolt, which allows the lower control arm to drop down, and at that point you remove the upper control arm bolt there, that one there, and then you've got this link you remove these two bolts, and there's two more, one there and one right there, and then this arm comes loose and you can pull the CV shaft out, because this whole thing will swing up out of the way. Then you can undo, you can see it, this crown nut for the upper ball joint, and this part will drop out and you'll be able to press out your upper ball joint, your lower ball joint, and then when I get to it I'll show you how to change these boots by taking the CV shaft apart. So here it is, about 10 minutes later. As you can see, I've taken out the two bolts that hold the lower control arm, and the front one looks good. But the back one, you can see it's worn down where the bushing sits, so that would cause the slop. And I also noticed that when I took this control arm out, I don't know if you can see that on video, but this ball joint's worn right out. So I've knocked off the steering ball joint, and now I'm gonna take out the two top control arm mounting bolts up there, and that'll allow me to pull this and this off the front, and then I'll get at that crown nut. You can see it, that crown nut up there, and I'll yank the shaft out. And I'll show you guys how to take the shaft apart to get the boots off and change them. So there it is. Got those upper bolts out, and excuse me, and the hub assembly just slides right off the shaft like that. And now we can actually get at that crown nut. What we'll do is we'll go through this hole with an extension, knock that off, and that'll change this ball joint. So to get these shafts out, all you do is give them a good 1, 2 pull, and then they've got a little clip at the end. That's what holds them in there. So I'll put this on the bench now. I'll take it apart and show you how to change the boots. Alright, so I'm just going to show you real quick how to take this apart so that you can install these new boots. 2 of them there. What you want to do is undo these little band clamps. There's a buckle there, there's a buckle there, one there and one there. Take these 4 clamps off, and take a knife and slice both these boots down the middle so that you take them off the shaft. Alright, so I got those boots off. Those are the clips from the inside. So holding this together on this end, you've got a similar setup as what you have over here. So this shaft with this clip at the end. So basically at the at the end of this shaft, it's splined inside here, and there's a clip. And if you watch, you'll be able to see. I don't know if you can see that and hear that, but there's a little bit of play. So the way I got this apart without doing any damage to it is to set it up in the vise and drop your pickle fork in between there like that, and then hammer down. What it'll do is it'll pop this end of the CV shaft off, and you'll be able to clean all this up and re-grease it. Then you can take your new boot and slip it on this way to cover up that CV, and same thing, slip one on this way to cover up this CV, pump them full of grease, and clamp them back down. So I'm going to pop this off with my hammer, clean it all up in the parts washer, and then show you what it looks like inside. Hey, so here you can see the end of the shaft has one of these clips on it, little snap ring clips. So that's what holds this guy down inside, right down inside of there. So I've cleaned this up. Still a little bit of grease in there, but it ain't bad. Clean this up in the solvent tank, and I'm going to put it back together with these new boots slipped onto the shaft, one on each side, one there, and the clips to hold it together. Pump it full of grease, and we'll be on a reassembly side. So here we are in the handy dandy press that I was showing you in the last couple of videos, pushing out the ball joint. This is the lower control arm. So we got her all set up. I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on it. It should go snap and pop out. There it goes. Sorry, my focus is out. I'm watching the gauge up top here to make sure that it's not getting jammed. There she is. So ball joint out. And we basically do the same thing to push the new one in. Alright, so here we are with our new ball joint set up. What we're going to do is push this baby in. Pump, 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 pump. it'll stop when it gets to the point that it needs to be at. Also, put the crown nut on. It's best usually to thread that all the way down so that the top of the stud underneath is flush with the top of the crown, because if you mung the crown up, it's not going to go back together easy. But this is slipping together really easy. It's using no pressure at all, so I'm not too concerned about damaging the crown. But on larger pieces, you probably want to thread that nut down a little further so that the stud is at the top. She is. I can feel the pressure starting to build now, so I want to stop so I don't damage that crown nut. And I'll put the booty on, and there's a C-clip that runs around the bottom there, and we'll have our ball joint changed. Took all of 5 minutes. So here we are, back together. New boot, and new upper ball joint, and new lower ball joint. Also got a new bolt up there, down there, up there, and in behind there. So that tightens up. That tightens up this whole thing. I found a little bit of slop down in here where the ball joint stud fits through the yoke here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bit of play there, so this bore is worn out and I can't tighten this bolt anymore without breaking something. So down the road we're going to have to replace this piece here. We get to pull this apart all over again, but at least the third time it should be fast. Thanks for watching this video.